everybody. On this episode, I'm going to be talking mainly about two of my favorite types of tube watercolors. Now, I also, for this demonstration, brought out a pan watercolor as well, just so you can kind of see the difference between a pan watercolor as opposed to tube watercolors. Now, I use both in my work. I choose depending on the look I'm going for and also the convenience. So I could do another video if you guys were interested somewhere down the line about the pros and cons of using tubes versus pans, but I started out with pans and I do really like their convenience, and I mean they're so adorable and you can fit a lot in a small space. So if you're someone who, you know, kind of takes your painting on location, pans are probably the way to go there, but there are other good reasons for using tubes. But anyways, so the tubes I mainly use are Daniel Smith, and I also use Mijello Mission Gold. And so I've found three colors that are all kind of similar. So I figured we would just do a little bit of a test here so you could see kind of the difference and how they react on watercolor paper and that sort of thing. So first we'll just start with the Cotmans, and I'm not going to go too much into the pans. I like the pans, but these are superstars for tonight, so that's what I'm going to talk about mostly. But let me just show you kind of what happens when you use a pan. Now, Winsor Newton Cotman is a very good brand. I like Winsor Newton. They're kind of like the old reliable. You can get them anywhere. In a pinch, you can run to Michael's and get what you need if you're kind of in the middle of something. But, you know, I really like this brand, but Cotman is their student grade brand and not necessarily their professional. So I have to add kind of a lot of water to really activate this. And it takes a couple of minutes, a little bit of a stroke. And there we go. I got a good swatch right on my brush, and I'm just going to show you how this kind of turns out. Now this is Hooker's Green Light. And now you'll notice that it's pretty vibrant. There's some areas of, you know, very dark, and then there's some areas more of transparency. You know, that's typical. But, you know, it's a pretty good coverage. And, yeah, nothing wrong with that. I will try to bring this up a little closer so you can kind of see. Anyways, good stuff. I like that. But I'm also going to show you one more thing. Now, this is how I paint. I just slap a bunch of water onto my brush and then dip it right into the paint, and then, you know, give it a good spread right over the page. Not everybody does that. This is what a lot of watercolorists do. First, they wet their brush, and then the page, and then they dip their brush and apply it to the puddle. So watch it spread out. And it's doing a pretty good job of spreading out. This effect is what a lot of watercolorists go for. They really like this kind of spontaneous movement of pigment on the page. Don't know where it's going, might blend with stuff, might not, who knows? It's all a big mystery. I don't like mysteries. I like to know what my paints are going to do. I like them to be predictable, and I don't like to leave their behavior up to chance. So that's why I paint more in this style, but it's up to you. And you'll notice that the green pigment has spread out pretty nicely. Now you won't really be able to see, so you'll have to trust me on this. It didn't quite make the full edge. So there is a lot more water kind of around the edges that it hasn't quite spread out to. We'll give it more time. Maybe we'll see something good, maybe we won't. All right, so we'll let that settle, and then we'll talk about our big names for tonight. So Daniel Smith, this is a really big name here in the United States. They're out of the United States. They're out of Washington. And I don't think they've been around for a super long time. They're made in the USA, right in Seattle. We'll see. I don't see any sort of history. I actually went on the website today and kind of tried to find like a history, and I didn't really. So I think they're on the newer side, but no worries, because this is a really good household name. A lot of really good professional artists use this brand. They are very high quality, and I really like being able to follow their Facebook page because they give live demonstrations. They have oil paints and I don't know what else. I'm like blanking on what else they have, but you know, their watercolors for me is their most exciting thing. They also have these really cool like watercolor sticks, and anyways, so they're just a really good name, and yeah, not too pricey. I mean, well, let's talk about the price a little bit. This tube of Daniel Smith might cost me anywhere between $8 and $12 maybe. I mean, I guess it depends on coupons and where you get it, but you know, this is 5 mils, and this would last me a really long time. So again, it seems like, whoa, $10 for this sort of thing, that's a lot. But, you know, it's really good, Lightfast pigment of high quality, and it will last you a while. So the other thing I wanted to mention is Daniel Smith actually has up to date 238 different colors in their full range. So literally any color you can think of, you can find in the Daniel Smith watercolor line. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, so that's a really good brand. So this brand, on the other hand, is newer to me because I just got these last week. And a little bit of their history, it's pronounced Mijello. I always want to say Mijello because that just rolls off the tongue better. However, that would be a huge mispronunciation. They're out of Korea, but their brand actually started in like the 1800s in Philadelphia, and only recently did they become Mijello as they kind of collaborated with this Korean artist. And so she has come up with this Mijello Mission watercolor line, and they are known for being not only light fast, but also really brilliant and vibrant, which I like. So anyways, that's a little rundown on each of them. The Mission Gold watercolor line, they only have like 105 different colors. So, I mean, to be honest, 105 colors is sufficient for anybody. You can mix, you know, an infinite amount of colors from there. So, you know, don't let 105 versus 238 sway you. Honestly, 238 colors seems a little overwhelming, and I follow them a lot on Facebook, and they'll show their different colors, and oh my gosh, like to me, half of them look the same. So, you know, that's not any disrespect on Daniel Smith. That's just for me. I don't like to be too overwhelmed. All right, so before we start playing with these colors, I want you to just look at this Cotman, and it still hasn't reached the outer bounds of where I have the watermark. So they didn't spread out fully, just so you know. Anyways, something to take home. All right, I am going to get my palette, and I'll set it up like this so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And so I got this Daniel Smith, was actually in a set, but you can get these really readily at Michael's and, you know, even Blick. If you can pop into one of the stores, that's awesome. Jerry's has them as well. Those are some of the big names here in the United States for buying art supplies. There are other places that carry them. So it's good stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to kind of do my watering out thing. So I'm going to make a nice little swatch. I'm making this really watery. And then I'm going to go in here and wow, look at that. Oh, that's kind of fun to watch. It's almost like a lava lamp. It is almost getting to the boundaries, but if you notice how quickly that pigment just like shot out in every direction. That was really cool. I'm going to actually do it again with more water and more paint, just for fun. Get a lot of paint. Wow. So that was really impressive compared to the Winsor and Newton set. But now what I'll also do is this, because I do this too, is I'll put out a swatch like this. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of start extending it out. So it even like spreads this way too. Boop. Okay, so that's really fun. So one thing I can definitely say is this Daniel Smith absolutely has great movement. Now, the other thing I want to do is this is a pretty damp brush. I'll get it a little bit more wet, and I'm going to get a big swatch. And then I'm just going to, that's really nice in terms of pigment. It's, you know, a pretty color, but it's also just very thick and vibrant and spreads out really nicely on a page, even just by doing it that way. So I'll do one more. This is how I paint. I just, you know, go like this. I don't really like doing this sort of thing in my painting. But I will say, you know, now that I'm looking, this color has, it does have some separation. So Cascade green is made up of burnt sienna and phthalo green, I believe. And, you know, those two colors seem to separate out a little bit. You know, that's just how the chemistry works when you add things together. Sometimes they separate. So this is how they're doing that. There was something on the website. I didn't really see a lot of detail, but it did mention something about Cascade green having some sort of degree of separation. So that might be what it's talking about. But, you know, let's say you didn't like that. Well, that's fine. Let's just, you know, really saturate that puddle, and maybe you won't have that separation. So we're going to let that sit and see what happens. Okay, so that's Daniel Smith. Again, really good household name for artists. Very, you know, a nice trustworthy brand. And they rate this particular color as a 1, which is highly light fast. And that's really good. Okay, so let's get back to Mijello. The other thing I wanted to mention about Mijello, you can buy their watercolors piecemeal on Blick. However, they are like probably around the same price as Daniel Smith. It's, you know, definitely you're paying for an artist quality, and that's what Mijello is. It's also an artist quality. However, you can go on Amazon and buy a set of, oh my goodness, how many did I just buy? I can just count. I don't want to have to, I should know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 times 2 is 36. So I bought a 36 tube set for, I think, like $49 or something. So it was like around 50, and I got 36 colors. So that's really fantastic. And you can't go wrong with that. So I just bought, and that's not the complete set. Like I said, there's 105 colors. So, all right, I'm going to do with the Hooker's Green. This is Mijello Mission Gold. And I am just going to do my puddle test here. So this is a nice puddle. I'm going to get a lot of green. I really like this one. And not moving. And not moving. Boop. Okay, so there's not a lot of movement here. That might be okay. To me, that's okay because I don't like doing this particular thing. But let's do another puddle where it's, you know, more puddly. And that's not really a fair test. There's green in that. All right, that's better. All right, I'm gonna like really pile it in. And it just kind of seems to stay stagnant and it's not really spreading out. So that's a good thing to know. So if you're somebody who really likes things to move away and create that kind of fun watery design, then maybe not buy these ones. But if you're someone like me who just likes to take paint and splosh it on the page, that to me is a very vibrant green. This is more vibrant, in my opinion, than the Daniel Smith. Now the colors are not exact, okay? So I am, you know, accounting for that in my mind, but Mijello is just, they kind of, that's like one of their big points, is that they just have very vibrant colors, and all of their colors are really vibrant. And I'll just show you, this is an example, this is a swatch from their set. Now I'm going to tell you right now that Green Appetite, I don't know if I said that right, and this is a Daniel Smith color, and so is Cascade is a Daniel Smith, so is Rare Green Earth, Lunar Blue, and Moon Glow. The rest of these really vibrant colors are Mijello. And again, to be fair, these colors are they're on the darker side anyways, so they're not going to be vibrant. I do have opera pink and like oranges and yellows from this nickel azo yellow is also a Daniel Smith, and they do have colors that are more vibrant, but you know, just kind of overall, the ones that really pop are those Mijello colors. Actually, look what I got right here. So opera pink right here is a Daniel Smith, and compare it to the opera pink on the Mijello one, which is this thicker rectangle. Okay, I don't really see much of a difference, honestly. And same with this Quinacridone Magenta. This is a Mijello, and this one is the Daniel Smith. So those are pretty, they're pretty spot on. They're right near each other. So my Daniel Smith colors just do tend to be on the more, I don't know, not really vibrant, just kind of on the duller side, just because that's the set they were going for. Dull is not the right color. I'm sorry, Daniel. However, I think you know what I'm trying to say. So now back to our swatches here. This one where I put a lot of puddle down of both water and green, it did start to spread out, and it has pretty much made it to the borders of where I had it. Even this puddle that I had originally just had of like, when I laid this down, I had just cleaned my brush a little bit and then like laid down some water, and that alone just made a really nice soft color. So, you know, I really like Mijello. Again, I like Daniel too, but it's just, they are different, okay? This one really spreads out, and this one is really vibrant. So it just kind of is going to depend on your taste. However, the Winsor Newton, maybe they're not all so bright. There are ones that are very brilliant and really bright and nice. However, there are like reds that I have of Winsor Newton Cotman that just aren't very vibrant. And of course, they didn't spread out very well. Mijello also didn't spread out very well. Again, that's a personal preference. I don't even like my things to spread out. I would rather just paint, you know, like I'm painting in acrylics or something. So that's basically all I can think of to talk about right now. What I will do too is I'll do this kind of get a lot of green here, and then I'll just dip my brush in. See, it doesn't even move that much when I go like this. It's moving some. nice puddle in there. Then if I just kind of extend out, so it isn't going to move too much when I do this sort of thing. I do this effect in my paintings often when I'm like blending and trying to get a smoother gradient. However, Mijello might just not work very well for that. But anyways, that's basically a good representation of what Daniel Smith versus Mijello Gold are. And, you know, it's your personal preference. I do recommend Mijello Mission Gold just because they're so inexpensive for so much. And these colors will probably last you a really long time. So, but Daniel Smith is a great name, and there are a lot of variety of colors, and they also have a really cool Facebook page, and they do a lot of live demonstrations every week. You know, another thing I'm kind of seeing right now is this got really bloomy, and there's some variation in, you know, texture and color where the water kind of stopped, and you know, that's another effect some people really like. This actually did separate. I can see separation here where it's, you know, very blue. It's that phthalo blue around the edges, and then the burnt sienna is kind of just on the inside. So kind of interesting, but it did dry in this really cool way. It kind of reminds me of if you go to New Zealand and you go to like the hot springs and like the geothermal places, it's kind of this bluish green, kind of different rings. It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a cool look, but again, my art never is going in that direction. And then the Mission Gold, I don't really see any blooms. There is a little bit here. But even where I really piled it on high, I didn't see much. I don't like blooms in my art. It works for some people, but I can never get them to behave the way I want to. So anyways, in my opinion, I prefer Mijello, I think, if I am going for my vibrant, bold looks. But Daniel Smith is great too. And again, Winsor Newton Cotman, great pan set, especially for a beginner as they are student grade. And anyways, thumbs up my video if you liked this and you want to see more of this sort of thing. And ask me anything you want in the comments. The other thing I wanted to mention is I actually did a Lightfast test on Daniel Smith and Mijello. And they are in the window. They've been in the window for about 2 weeks. So I'm going to give them another few months. So this is a really, really, really early sneak, like a sneak peek at what's going to happen in many months. But I really want to give those paints a good time to sit in the window and cure so we can really look at the results. But that's going to be between the Daniel Smith and the Mijello Mission Gold. Their whole line that I had. So I had about like 13 Daniel Smiths and of course the 36 Mijellos. We're going to, you know, be able to reveal what the results are of that Lightfast test. So if you thumbs up my video and subscribe, then whenever I get to put that out, you will see it. And every week I try to put something out that I think will be valuable to you. And I talk about watercolors. I also talk about pastels. I talk about oil painting. Those are the 3 things that I do the most. So if there's anything specific you want to see, comment and I will try to get to it. And yes. All right. Well, have a great week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.